Hello, hello. It's a Friday, which means that we're here to talk about nonprofit technology. And boy, do I have a topic for us today. I hope you're all having a good wrap up to the week. I'm based in Massachusetts. My name is Maureen Walbioff. Might be good to introduce myself. Getting back into the swing of things after taking a month off. Maureen Walbioff, nonprofit digital strategist and technology coach. And just about every Friday afternoon at 12:30 Eastern Time, I do a live stream and we talk about a topic that nonprofit, non-technical people will hopefully find helpful or interesting, or maybe both. And I've realized that I'm like constantly slouching on these things. So I'm doing my best to sit up straight. We'll see. We'll see how slouchy I get through the rest of our time together this afternoon. So today's event has a bunch of sass in it, and I'm going to own it. I'm going to own the sass. I got back from a month off and my sass meter is pretty high right now, which is really, really good because it's about honest conversation and talking about the problems that nonprofit accidental techies, no matter what org you're at, struggle with. And something has bubbled up for me over the past couple of weeks since I've been back from my month off. And I want to start out by talking about the unbelievable, inhuman level of dedication and passion that nonprofit folk bring to our work. Most of us give 110% at minimum, day after day, month after month, year after year, sometimes decade after decade. There's some lifers who've been at your organization for most of your careers. You kind of grew up in that organization. That's what happened to me back when I was working in a nonprofit organization many moons ago. This level of kind of magical, superhuman, amazing dedication and scrappiness can also kind of bite us in the ass because it means that we put up with substandard work tools with a smile on our face. We are so used to living with outdated, broken, no longer fits our org's needs, databases, email tools, volunteer management systems, and all of those other individual components that we bring together to create our technical ecosystem, right? All those things working together and not at cross purposes. And when I say living with, right, we're used to living with stuff that doesn't really do what we need it to do. Maybe it broke 6 months ago. Nobody in-house knows how to fix it. We've moved on, figured out another way to get our work done. Living with, in nonprofit speak, is code for using spreadsheets, emailing stuff, Google Docs, and all of the terribly inefficient business processes that we've had to invent to go along with tools that just aren't a good fit for us. And when I say crappy tools, it is not a diss to a particular product or products at all. To me, if you've got a crappy system, it's because it doesn't match what you need. It might be perfect for the organization around the corner, but for you, it's just not a good fit. So, crappy is not a slam on anything. It's simply a state of being. It's like, I only have flathead screws and all I've got is a Phillips head screwdriver. It's as benign as that. So I just want to clear up my adjectives here. So these tools that we develop, all this manual, living with a smile on our face, doing things in 10 steps when maybe it should take 2 or 1, also are tools that are used by our supporters. So you might think that you're the only ones having to put up with that burden, my scrappy, dedicated internal staff, but you know what? These are the same tools that are glitchy or seem like they're old or maybe not working properly. Okay. So this is not just a an inside problem that we have to, have enough grit to live with and get through with a smile on our face, it impacts how our supporters often interact with us electronically as well. And so I'm imagining that people who are watching this, whether live or recorded, smaller organizations, maybe newer organizations, budgets that are, $250,000 a year, well under $1 million a year. They're like, oh yeah, you feel our pain, Maureen. You know that it's hard to get by with a Google Drive and some creativity. But I got to tell you, if you're sitting there sort of full of sass, big org, big budget, big team, lots of tools, this happens inside your organization as well. You know that you've got your own share of grit and things that are clunky or manual or take 6 steps instead of 2 or have tons of workarounds around. You might even have more of that stuff than a smaller footprint technology that's used by a smaller or a newer organization. And this comes out for me every day, like at least multiple times a week, because part of the work that I do when I work with teams to do needs assessments and software or other technical evaluations includes one-on-one interviews with most of the staff at the organization. And people really take advantage of that time. It's one of my favorite parts of projects like this is like listening, thinking like, it doesn't have to be this way, Mary, you're being so nice about this. I wouldn't necessarily put up with it. I don't say that to them most of the time, but people really do speak with transparency and candor. They trust me with their struggles. They sort of go, here's all my pain points. And, when I craft my recommendations, presentations for leadership, I very carefully illustrate their team's experiences using technology that's not a good fit. Stuff that you've worked around for years that you're just living with. And, what breaks my heart is that 90% of the time, the pain points that people are experiencing, their struggles, their secret pain that they're sharing with me privately can be solved with the right technology. You don't have to live with this crazy workaround process. You don't have to be taking work home at night to play catch up. You don't have to. All of the solutions, though, to the frontline teams, middle managers, sometimes leaders and board feel impossible. We could never have a system that could do X, Y, Z. So some of the common examples that I hear over and over again are things like, it would be great. My secret wish is if we didn't need to manually process monthly donations. I know that's not possible, but I'm going to tell you anyway. So that's a top one that I hear all the time. Another one that I hear really frequently is there any way, and people are like careful, like I can't even let myself hope for this. They're restraining themselves. Is there any way that maybe one person on our team could get a notification when a volunteer signs up to work a shift? Or, man, I would really kill for an easy way to know when a pledge payment hits our bank account. This stuff, my friends, is garden level functionality. It is not special. It is not flashy. It is not a unicorn. This is basic stuff that technology products that nonprofits use in 2022 do out of the box. Because just about everybody needs this stuff. But if you've always lived without it, if you've only, had candles to light your way at night, the idea of bringing in electricity just is like, well, wait a minute, that seems complicated, seems expensive. It's really not. Like, call the utility company and plug in a lamp. That's kind of a good analogy here. And, the banner over people's heads or the filters that sort of suppress their hopes or kind of make us all live with these terrible fitting systems for well too long, way too long. is that there's no time or money to solve these problems. We have no choice but to live with these things. It's all I can do is get up every day and do it over again, those 700 steps. The years just roll on. You've lived with it for a long time. People maybe have stopped talking about it. Everybody who's using your silly processes or tools that are not a good fit for the functionality that you need are just living with it and not complaining anymore. They're resigned. That's the word I'm looking for. They're resigned. And here's what we need to start doing in our industry, nonprofits and technology. You are spending more time and money, way more time and money in your current manual setup or your janky business process with your old tools that are just not cut out for what you need them to do today. If you stop tossing people power at these things, you could allocate a small amount of money, way smaller than you're spending today on your processes and people, to fix it, like literally solve it. Let's take that manual donation processing example that I hear so frequently, right? Maybe this isn't your problem particularly, but play along with me if you would. So if you're in an organization where you have sustainers, people who give monthly, every month, same amount, and you do not have a system or a tool that will automatically charge that person's payment method every single month as expected, as the supporter would like to have happen, because they started that sustaining gift with you. And you've got somebody named Jeff. Jeff is your database administrator, full-time guy, solid guy, smart, hard worker. And let's just say, for sake of math, that Jeff spends 1 hour a day managing and running sustainer payments every day. Every day, Jeff logs in, Jeff runs a report of the people who need their credit card processed or their ACH payment put in place, and Jeff is making that happen manually. 1 hour a day. I know there's PTO, but bear with me. So let's imagine that 1 hour a day is 260 hours a year. Because even if Jeff takes time off, somebody else is probably doing that stuff every single day on Jeff's behalf, Jeff's backup while he's out of the office. At $30 an hour, again, kind of, in the middle of the road, Jeff's organization is spending $7,800 a year on Jeff, for Jeff to manually process sustaining gifts every day. And that's super conservative, right? We all know that it's probably more time for Jeff to run that report, and some credit cards maybe have expired and then he's got to send an email. Maybe he's even doing gift acknowledgments manually after he's processing all of these donations. So let's pretend he's spending 2 hours a day manually processing monthly gifts. That at $30 an hour is more than $15,000 a year in staff time. Not to mention the stuff that Jeff isn't getting to, because so much of his time is people powering this sustaining gift transaction business. So you take that and you're like, 15,000, huh? I never thought we had $15,000 to spend on our manual processes to improve them. You add in more expensive things like staff turnover. I can't take it anymore, says Jeff. All my grit and determination. Yeah, Chris just chimed in. Thanks, Mr. Calabro. It's good to see you here. We need to connect actually and catch up. Jeff's PTO is at stake. Jeff's employment could be at stake. He could have had it and say, this is dumb. I have better things to offer my organization than just this manual processing of monthly gifts. Then you turn it outside your organization. Lost donations, lapsed memberships, volunteers who don't have the patience to print out a Word document, write it all down, scan it, or put it in the mail, get it off to your organization, only to find that you can't read that person's handwriting. Whoop, there's that lost, or maybe you can't read their email address because it's handwritten, because that's the tool you've provided them to use to let you know they're interested in being a volunteer in your organization. Can you see where I'm going here? You are already spending this money, or letting this money, this investment, fly out the window with turnover and lost supporters. And not to mention the fact that these processes or these janky tools probably do not reflect the caliber of your organization's work at all. Out of alignment. Someone's not super familiar with your work, and all they have to judge you is the Word document volunteer sign-up form or interest form. They might go to some place that actually lets them do this stuff on their phone. That's expensive too. An hour of volunteer time is hard to get, and volunteers are hard to keep once you find them. You don't want to turn anybody off before they've even started to work with us and partner up with us. If you would just use some of the money that you are spending unseen, uncalculated, on fighting with your less than ideal technology, life would be different, and it wouldn't cost you another penny. It might even save you money. It might even help you grow your revenue and your ability to expand your programs, hire more staff, increase your operational capacity. So I'm challenging everybody, every single person who's watching this live or recorded, to whip up back of the envelope, just like I did with Jeff and his number of hours a week, number of hours a year, times his hourly salary. Just do a quick cost benefit analysis, right? Like, let's say you're paying $8,000 a year. It's on the low scale, $8,000 a year for your database. It doesn't process transactions manually. You want to grow your monthly supporters. Can't do that without adding another Jeff at minimum close to $8K a year, just in him managing those monthly donation processing tasks. So, ask your team to estimate the number of hours they are spending working around systems that are a poor fit, or entering data in multiple places, or doing tasks that don't have to be people powered. That actually, there's probably products out there. You probably have sustaining gifts with other nonprofit organizations, and they just haven't. You don't think you need a Jeff. There's a Jeff's hands on the keys, making sure that you get your acknowledgments and that your method of payment is being charged correctly. Look at those numbers. They're sort of staggering as you start to add them up. Well, we've got Jeff over here on the manual processing. Let's say that is 2 hours a day. That's $15,000 we're paying Jeff to manually process credit cards. And let's say you don't have a connection between your database and your email marketing tool. So some human person once a week, hopefully with some frequency, is pulling down people who've signed up for your email, adding them to your database. People enter your database offline. They want to get your email. Somebody's manually adding those people in and trying to keep those two systems synced manually. So that alone is probably, Jeff and this email marketing thing is probably costing you, $25,000 or $30,000. You can get some pretty slick tech for that amount of investment. You see how you change how you think about these things? It's not an additional cost. You're just reallocating money you are already spending. Not adding anything new. You're just changing where that money goes. I'm going to pay Jeff to do other stuff now, stuff that he probably might like more, might be more relevant, might be more impactful to our work, might keep him around longer, might give our supporters a better experience. So using the revenue that you've got more effectively without adding anything to the bottom line, it is totally possible. And the only way we're going to do this is by naming it, is by doing that back of the envelope math on what your people-powered workarounds for systems that do not fit your needs today. What's that costing you? It has a cost. Your team, dedicated, amazing, full of grit, could innovate on more important things and not just like, what's the least heinous process for us to follow to process our monthly donor transactions manually. See where I'm going here? It's a thread. It's all about managing how you think about things and not pre-deciding you can't. Because I'm telling you, you're spending the money now. It's just in a different line item in your general ledger, in your accounting system. So changing your frame lets you start having different conversations, right? So if you have given up the fight, if you have said, nobody's listening, we don't have time or money to improve any of this stuff. It's live with it city in our organization. Have a different conversation. Say, you know, I've just realized that to process our donations, it's costing us, our monthly donations at the level they're at today is costing us about $15,000 a year. Wouldn't we like to spend that money somewhere else and find a better piece of technology or a more apropos piece of technology that is going to actually let Jeff and let us spend our really important staffing resource time and money somewhere else? Helps your team sort of channel that amazing dedication into more useful challenges than pushing that paper rock manual process up the hill every single day. So that's my message for you all today. I hope this was helpful. Send a link to this to your boss, your board, somebody who is in charge of the money, maybe your CFO or your finance director, might really like to have the opportunity to reallocate funds, but they're not close enough to the work to actually know what you're spending today. So be transparent, be a little bold, stop fighting with your technology and spend what you're spending in a different way. It's going to change the game inside your organization. It's going to help you attract better staff, higher functioning folks with different skill sets. Just about anybody can enter data into a spreadsheet, you know, and email it to somebody else and do their little piece of things. So that's the takeaway message here for this afternoon's little chit chat nonprofit family. I hope this was helpful. I would love to keep this conversation going because I'm kind of fired up on you're already spending it. Don't tell yourselves you don't have the revenue. You just need to change what you're spending it on. So with that, I will let you all go for the rest of the day today. I hope you all have a wonderful weekend and a great week ahead. And I will be back here next Friday with another pithy nonprofit topic for us to talk about. Thanks again. I hope you take care and see you soon. Bye, folks. Thanks for being here, Chris. Really appreciate it. I'm going to send you an email on LinkedIn right now.